There comes a season in every believer's life when prayers seem to hang in the air unanswered, when faith feels heavy, and the silence of heaven grows louder with each passing day. You begin to wonder if God has turned his face away. But what if the silence is not rejection? What if it is the sound of preparation? What if every unanswered prayer is being shaped into something far greater than you imagined? 1 Peter 5:10 promises that after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. That means the pain you feel right now is not the end of your story. It is the training ground of your destiny. When God delays, it is never to deny. When he holds you back, it is never to harm. When he takes longer, it is because he is strengthening what you cannot yet see. God never wastes the waiting, because the waiting is where he prepares you for the blessing you asked for. You may have prayed for a door to open, and it stayed shut because he was building the character that would keep you standing once it opens. You may have prayed for promotion, and he hid you in obscurity because he was teaching you humility before honor. You may have prayed for love, and he let your heart break so that it could learn compassion before commitment. Everything you walk through now is connected to what you prayed for then, and though it hurts, it is holy, because God does not answer prayers in fragments. He answers them in fullness, and fullness takes time. Preparation is not punishment, it is protection. It is the mercy of a father who loves you too much to let your blessings arrive before your readiness. When he says wait, he is saying grow. When he says not yet, he is saying trust me deeper. Because the weight of what you prayed for required the strength of what he is building inside you right now. So hold on, you are not behind, you are in process, and that process is divine. Soon you will see that every slow season, every closed door, every quiet night was proof that heaven was working on your behalf, because God is not only preparing the promise for you, he is preparing you for the promise. When God begins to prepare you for what you prayed for, he often starts by removing everything that cannot go with you into the next season. And this process feels like loss, but it is actually alignment, because before he can bring the answer, he must create the space to hold it. Sometimes that means relationships end doors, close plans crumble, and the life you once knew begins to fall apart, not because you failed, but because he is rearranging everything according to his purpose. 1 Peter 5:10 reminds you that after you have suffered a little while, God himself will restore you. This means that the breaking comes before the building, and the pruning comes before the promise. It hurts because the preparation is real, and the preparation is necessary. He is stripping away the pride, the fear, the impatience, the dependence on your own understanding, so that when the blessing comes, it will not destroy you but develop you. You see, when you asked God to use you, he heard you, but he knew that to use you fully, he must first make you whole. So he began to separate you from things that distracted your heart from his voice. He began to silence the noise around you so that your spirit could tune in to his whisper. Waiting seasons teach you obedience, they teach you surrender, they teach you to trust without proof, and to walk without sight. It is in the quiet that you discover who God really is, because faith without sight is not weakness. It is the purest form of trust. Every unanswered prayer is not a no, it is an invitation to grow deeper, to stay steadfast, and to remember that what he is preparing is not just a moment of blessing, but a lifetime of purpose. You may not see progress, but that does not mean there is none, because under the surface, he is writing the chapters you will one day testify about. You are being refined like gold in the fire, not burned, but purified, not destroyed, but developed. So when you stand on the other side of this waiting, you will carry a strength that only silence can build, a peace that only pain can produce, and a faith that no storm can shake. God is not late, he is thorough, and when he is done, you will not just receive what you prayed, for you will become the person capable of carrying it. There comes a moment in every waiting season when the silence grows so heavy that you start to wonder if God has forgotten the sound of your voice. You keep praying, you keep believing, you keep showing up, and yet nothing seems to move. But that stillness is not empty, it is holy ground, because in that silence God is doing his deepest work. It is in the moments when you feel most unseen that he is shaping you into someone who can be trusted with what you have asked. For if God were to answer your prayer too soon, the blessing might break you instead of build you. That is why he takes his time, because he loves you too much to give you something that would ruin you prematurely. Every delay is divine timing. Every no is a redirection. Every closed door is a layer of protection. He knows what you cannot see, and he is working behind the curtain, aligning every detail, so that when the right moment comes, everything fits perfectly together. and you will realize that his timing was never late. It was just wiser than yours. The truth is, the longer the preparation, the greater the purpose, the deeper the pain, the stronger the foundation. God allows the weight of waiting to strengthen your faith muscles so that when the blessing arrives, you can sustain it without fear or pride. Waiting seasons are not punishment, they are training grounds. They teach you how to rely on God instead of yourself, how to obey when it makes no sense, how to find peace when nothing feels certain, and how to worship even when you do not feel like it. Every tear you cry in the waiting is watering the seed of your future. Every disappointment is teaching you resilience. Every unanswered prayer is writing your testimony. And one day you will look back and thank God that He did not give you what you wanted when you wanted it. Because His version of your dream will always be better than yours, He is not ignoring you. He is investing in you, molding your heart, so that your blessing will not pull you away from Him, but push you deeper into His presence. Trust that the same God who promised to restore you in 1 Peter 5:10 will finish what He started. He never begins a work He will not complete, so keep standing, even when nothing changes. Keep believing, even when you cannot see, because what you call delay, God calls development. And when the time is right, you will understand that every silent night was a step toward the sunrise He prepared for you. When you reach the middle of the waiting season, it begins to feel like you are standing in the middle of an endless desert. You start to question whether the promise you once believed in is still alive, or if it was only a dream. But the truth is that God is not finished. He is simply building your roots deeper, because before He shows you the fruit, He must make sure that your foundation is strong enough to handle the weight of it. The longer you wait, the stronger you grow, even if you do not see it. Yet every day of waiting is shaping your character and strengthening your spirit. God is not only preparing the promise for you, He is preparing you for the promise. He wants you to be mature enough to hold it, humble enough to protect it, and wise enough to use it for His glory. Sometimes He hides you to help you, because the preparation season is sacred. It is where He removes every false confidence and replaces it with faith that cannot be shaken. Waiting seasons reveal what you truly believe. Do you trust His plan only when it is visible, or do you trust Him even when the road is hidden? This is where your faith is proven, where hope becomes an anchor, and where you learn that peace is not absence of struggle, but the presence of God right in the middle of it. When everything around you seems to fall apart, He whispers that He is still in control, and if you quiet your heart long enough, you will sense that He never left you, even for a moment. Sometimes He delays your dream because He is aligning people, places, and opportunities in a way that your mind cannot comprehend. His timing protects you from premature exposure and from doors that would open before you are ready. He is the God of perfect timing, not convenient timing. And the more you surrender, the more you begin to see that waiting was never wasted. It was a divine classroom where you learned patience, humility, faith, and endurance, qualities that cannot be taught through comfort, but only through challenge. So hold on to His word, and remember what 1 Peter 5:10 declares, that after you have suffered a little while, He Himself will restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. This means the suffering will not last forever, the silence will not stay permanent, and the story will not end in pain, because your God finishes what He starts. And when the time comes, the same place that felt empty will overflow with His glory, and you will realize that every step of waiting was a step toward destiny. There will come a time in your waiting when your heart will wrestle between hope and exhaustion. You will feel the tension of believing that God can while wondering why He has not yet. And in that fragile place, your faith will be tested not by storms, but by silence. Yet that silence is not God. Absence, it is His classroom where He teaches you to trust His character, even when His hand seems still. This is where real faith is born, not the kind that only praises when doors open, but the kind that stands unshaken when doors remain closed, because the strength of your faith is not proven in the breakthrough. It is proven in the waiting, when you can look at the delay and still say, God, I know you are good. That is when heaven smiles, because you have learned the secret of surrender. There is power in still believing when everything in you wants to give up. God does not forget the prayers you whispered in the dark. He collects them, He remembers them, and He moves through them in His time. Even when your heart feels forgotten, you are written on His hands. You are never out of His sight, and every second of silence is working toward your good. He is preparing the stage for the moment when your waiting will make sense, when you will finally see that the tears were not wasted, and the patience was not ignored. Sometimes He lets you walk through dry ground, so that when the rain finally comes, you know how precious it is. and you will not take it for granted. What God is preparing is not just answer, it is an awakening. He is preparing a stronger you, a wiser you, a humbler you, so that when His blessing arrives, you can carry it with grace, not pride, with gratitude, not greed, and with endurance, not fear. He knows that what you are praying for will require a version of you that can handle the weight of glory, and that version is being formed right now through every quiet night and every silent sunrise. This is where you learn that faith is not about getting what you want, it is about becoming who God called you to be. So when the door finally opens, you will walk through not with arrogance, but with awe, not with entitlement, but with tears, because you will realize that it was not your effort that got you there, but His mercy that kept you there. The waiting was never wasted, it was worship in disguise, and the promise that follows it will always be worth the pain. One day, everything that confused you will make sense. You will stand on the other side of this season and realize that every delay, every disappointment, every unanswered prayer was not God punishing you, but preparing you. He was molding you into the person who could hold the promise without losing peace. He was building the strength you would need to stand where you are destined to go. What felt like silence was actually His strategy. What looked like stillness was His setup. And what seemed like denial was divine protection. When you were praying for a quick answer, He was writing a long-term miracle. When you were asking Him to open the door, He was making sure that when it opened, no one could shut it first. Peter 5:10 declares that after you have suffered a little while, He Himself will restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. That word Himself means God will not send someone else to fix it. He will do it personally. He will take the very pain that tried to break you and use it to build the platform of your purpose. He will take the tears you cried in private and turn them into a testimony that gives others hope. The same valley that made you feel forgotten will become the evidence that God never left you. Your scars will tell the story of grace, and your endurance will become someone else's faith fuel. So do not give up now. The waiting is almost over, and the promise is closer than you think. This is your reminder that God is not just preparing a blessing for you, He is preparing you for a blessing that will outlast you. What He started, He will finish. What He promised, He will perform. And when His timing unfolds, it will be greater than you prayed for. So keep trusting, keep standing, keep believing, because the same God who met you in your suffering will restore you in His glory. And when He does, it will not just change your situation, it will change you completely. This is your moment to rise from doubt to declaration, to look at your delay and say, my God is not done with me, yet He is preparing me for what I prayed for. If this message touched your heart today, do not let it end here. Take a deep breath, lift your head, and say out loud, God is preparing me even now. Type, I am ready, Lord, in the comments below to declare your faith. And if you believe that your breakthrough is coming, share this message with someone who needs hope today, because your faith might just be the spark that reignites theirs. Remember, your delay is not denial, it is divine preparation. And when the time is right, God Himself will make it beautiful in His perfect way.